Welcome to Bodacious Estate Conversations, the podcast where we skip the polite small talk and get straight to the real story about handling a loved one's property. From unexpected challenges to the messy emotions nobody warns you about, I bring you unfiltered stories, practical advice, and clever shortcuts from people who've been there and the professionals who know the way. If you want honest answers, bold strategies, and the confidence to take control, you're in the right place. Here is your host, Casey King.
Thanks for tuning in. On today's episode of Bodacious Estate Conversations, I am so excited. My guest today spent the last 20 years building one of the most respected names in real estate. He's the founder of Red Barn Homes, and over the years, he's expanded that success to RB Realty, RBC Construction, Red Capital, and the nationwide franchise Red Barn Home Buyers, who's recently been ranked number 11 in Entrepreneurs Magazine, New and Emerging Franchises, along with the newly launched franchise Family Nest. He also runs Rockstar Kids, a nonprofit close to his family's heart, helping children and families fighting childhood cancer. What a resume. Let's give a warm welcome to Ken Corsini. I'm so thrilled to have you on Bodacious Estate Conversations, Ken.
Oh man, I am thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me, Casey.
Truly my pleasure, honestly. So today we're going to be talking about how Ken turned 2 decades of experience and passion for helping families into a group of businesses that's changing the way people think about real estate. If you've ever wondered what it takes to start your own business or maybe even own a franchise, stick around to the end to hear how Ken's Family Nest model is opening the door for people just like you to build meaningful, purpose-driven companies that make a real impact in their communities. So here we go. Let's just dig right into it. For anyone who hasn't heard of it yet, what exactly is Family Nest and how does it fit into everything you've built with Red Barn?
Great question. And thanks again for having me, Casey. Family Nest, and technically the full name is Family Nest Estate Solutions, which kind of speaks to what it is. For 20 years, you said it, we've done a lot of real estate. We've flipped a lot of houses, we've done traditional transactions on a lot of houses. And one of the things we noticed over the years, especially because we buy a lot of off-market properties, we were stepping into a lot of circumstances that became familiar in that it was the same circumstance where these families have adult seniors who are transitioning into the next phase of life. Most of them are going into assisted living facilities or memory care facilities. And we were dealing with the children, the adult children who were scrambling to figure out how to move mom and dad, out of the family home that they'd lived in for decades, deal with all the stuff and move them into whatever community or facility was next. And it was sort of this pattern we were running into. We're like, why do we keep running into the same situation? And we took a step back, we said, look, what's the demographic shift in society? Everybody knows intuitively that the baby boomers are sort of aging out. But what's incredible to me is when you look at the statistics of how many baby boomers there are, how many of them own real estate. It's actually 40% of all the real estate owned in the United States is owned by baby boomers. And they're in the process of really turning that real estate wealth over to the next generation. And it's one of the largest transfers of real estate wealth ever. And there was a real need in the marketplace to serve these families. And you've done it. You've flipped enough houses, Casey, that all they require the clean outs, the junk removals, the decluttering, the organizing. In a lot of cases, there's an estate sale involved. And then there's actually physically moving mom and dad into the facility. And then of course there's the real estate. What do we do with this house that's old and outdated? And of course, for us being in the real estate world, that was sort of a logical fit. It's like we're already, in the business for the real estate. They need the help with these transition services. And so for us, we saw it as sort of a natural bolt on to the real estate franchise, which is Red Barn Home Buyers.
So the inspiration for it was just seeing the need.
Just being in it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's funny because again, you being in the space, there's a lot of people that go after probates and, inherited properties, and it always feels a little slimy. I mean, the copy is always real sensitive. I know that you've experienced this this loss in the family. Would you be interested in selling your house? And that honestly just turns people off. I mean, you really end up offending a lot of people in the process. And so we were like, how do we approach these people from a genuine standpoint? We don't just want the real estate. Like, we're not just in it to buy your house well below market value. Like, there's an opportunity for us to serve you during this season of life, make money. Like, or it's not a nonprofit. There's a real business model there where we can serve these people. Oh, but by the way, now that we've built some level of trust, now that you know who we are and that we've got integrity and that, we're doing a good job, now it opens up sort of an organic conversation about the real estate. Hey, look, we're real estate brokers, or, we're an investor. We, maybe it might make the most sense for us to just take this off your hands if that's what's best for you. At least give them some options. But at the end of the day, it does lend itself to a genuine conversation about the real estate.
Yeah, for sure. I just had an appointment yesterday with a woman who's handling her cousin's estate, and he was a collector, not a hoarder, but just a collector. Like, those curio cabinets where you put figurines and everything. Oh my gosh, I couldn't tell you how many he had, with just collection after collection after collection. And little trinkets, my mother would call them dust collectors, but to each their own. And she's like, I don't know what to do with these. And I was like, okay, well, you got options, and here they are. And I kind of lay it out like, the most you can get for the real estate itself is going to be market value. In order to get market value, you have to go on the market, but that comes along with the headache of you doing all this stuff. Or we could wrap that up in a bow and take care of it all for you. So it's, I think it's really good to be able to give people those options and kind of lay it out like the most convenient way versus the highest purchase price, like there's going to be a cost to the convenience, but we can do it, and I think that's huge for those folks that don't have the time or the ability to actually do it themselves.
Yeah, a lot of times what we found is that this some sort of transition event happens and catches people a little off guard, where, maybe there's a loss of one of the spouses and now there's a widow involved, and the kids just need to get moved out of the family home into something else. Or maybe they can't drive anymore. Something happens. They're no longer able to commute, or there's a health issue. Something happens and they're behind the eight ball a little bit, and time is of the essence. And so there's not a lot of time to get the house perfect to list it. And in which case, sometimes the right solution is, well, let us come along and just do all of it for you. Just make this as convenient as possible and get mom or dad into the home. But sometimes that's not the case. And they want to maximize as much value as they can because they might need to sell the house to generate the income to pay for the facilities. None of those facilities are cheap, right? If they haven't been saving it, like, the equity might be where the money is in that house. In which case, now you got to help them tap into that equity and maximize the value that they're going to get. So again, at the end of the day, it's just everybody's circumstances are different.
Yep, I love that. So I mean, you've built several companies and they all fit in very well together. I mean, you've got your own lender, you've got your own brokerage, you've got your own construction company. So, and now you've got, the clean out company, the moving company, have kind of all rolled into the estate services. So, do you see anything next on the horizon? I mean,
Yeah, it kind of feels like my house where I've got like 20 animals, and it's like, why am I managing all these animals? That's where my business is starting to feel like, why am I managing? No, I will say this about Family Nest is, to your point, it's already so adjacent to what we're already doing. And to some extent, as an investor, you're kind of sometimes already doing that stuff anyways, right? When you come in and you have a conversation and you're trying to get the contract. And so you're climbing into their situation to help them with those things anyways, and maybe playing quarterback. It's kind of the same thing with Family Nest because we don't necessarily, like, I don't want to start necessarily a moving company personally, or a junk removal company personally. Like, we can sub those out with other good contractors. What we're doing is really just, like I said, playing quarterback. Let us be that one-stop shop. You only need one point of contact. We're going to be that. It's going to be a white glove service. You don't have to have a relationship with junk removal or an estate sale company or movers or real estate agent. We're going to be all of those things for you. And I feel like that just takes a lot of the burden off of these families. And they're like, okay, I don't have to manage all this. Family Nest is going to manage all this for me. And as you know, I mean, we've got our own corporate location here in Atlanta, but really, it's just a replicatable model. We're really trying to empower people that want to start businesses that may or may not want to be in real estate, and give them the tools and the resources that we've developed to run their own family nest model in their own local market.
I love that. And that's nationwide.
It is nationwide. Yeah.
Incredible.
There might be a couple states we're not in, but I think, we're licensed in just about all of them.
That's awesome. So, for somebody who's thinking about starting their own business, but doesn't know where to begin, how would they reach out to have a conversation to see if they might be a good fit?
Yeah. Again, we've been in the franchise world now for a couple years with Red Barn Home Buyers and now with Family Nest. It's interesting, the demographic of people that find their way to us that are interested in owning their own business. It's sort of all walks of life, but there are a lot of people who've come out of the corporate world, or maybe they've owned their own, construction business, and they're like, okay, I'm tired of doing this. I feel like this is a better fit. So for some people, being a real estate investor, it's really where their mind's always been. That's where their heart's always been. And maybe they leave that W-2 job and come over to Red Barn Home Buyers. It's the same thing, honestly, with Family Nest. It's somebody that's, um, maybe had it with the 9 to 5, and they're like, I want to be in business for myself. That's where I was 20 years ago. I had a 9 to 5 corporate gig, and I was like, I was not cut out for the corporate. I'm cut out to be an entrepreneur and to build my own business. And I think a lot of people feel that innately themselves. I've got this entrepreneurial bent. Where can I invest my time and energy? And I do believe that if you take a step back and look at all the opportunities that are out there, all the different franchise opportunities that are out there, this particular one where you're serving again, the silver tsunami is what they're calling it. It is a very clear demographic shift where we know there's going to be lots of opportunity over the next 10 to 20 years with baby boomers aging out. So why not enter in a business where, one, you can serve them and really fill a need in the community, two, carve out a pretty nice income for yourself in the process, and then three, if you've got any inclination towards real estate, whether you're just being an agent or you're flipping or whatever you're doing, man, this business is a great way to also dip your toes into the real estate world. So for those folks that are interested, it's super easy. We've got a website out there just called familynestfranchise.com. It's got information about the franchise. I'm sure there's some testimonial videos out there. We'd love to just jump on a call and talk to you about what it is.
Nice. Yeah, I can testify. The difference between working a W-2 job and owning your own business. The hustle is real when you're owning your own business, but it's so fulfilling. I mean, working a W-2 job, like I liked what I did, I liked the people I worked with, but I wasn't making a difference in anybody's life. It was just go to work, put my time in, and then come home tired, exhausted, annoyed, probably. And but owning your own business, you're actually making a difference in someone's life. You're taking a huge burden off their shoulders, and simplifying a process that could otherwise be incredibly daunting.
That's right. Yeah, you can feel good about what you're even houses. I mean, even flipping houses and renovating houses and providing rental properties for people. I feel good about that. I'm turning neighborhoods around. I'm providing housing, better housing for people. I'm increasing values in neighborhoods. That's a good feeling. It's also fun. It's also rewarding. You make money. If you think about W-2 though, for a lot of situations, I don't want to say this is always the case, is there's a ceiling, right? You've got a W-2 position. There's only so far you're going to go. There's only so much you can stretch your arms out and really make a difference and grow something. One of the freeing things about being an entrepreneur is just there's no ceiling. Like the sky's the limit. Like you can stretch out in so many different directions and grow businesses and grow income and grow wealth. And that's fulfilling. If you've got that entrepreneurial bent, it's fulfilling.
I love that. So I realized in my intro, I didn't mention any of the television shows that you starred in. So, if we could go back through, was Flip or Flop Atlanta your first HGTV series?
Yeah. So back in 2017-ish was our first show with HGTV called Flip or Flop Atlanta. And that ran for a couple seasons. And then in 2020, we did Rock the Block season 2. And then that turned into, I think the next year we did Flipping Showdown. And as you know, Flipping Showdown is what kind of morphed into Red Barn Home Buyers. You remember the whole premise of Flipping Showdown was that the winner got a Red Barn franchise. And so we're like, let's start a Red Barn franchise since we got a whole show about it. And that launched Red Barn franchise. So I mean, Red Barn Home Buyers, which again, sky's the limit. It's been a phenomenal ride with Red Barn Home Buyers.
Yeah, insane. So if we could go back to 2017, how were you contacted, for the show? I mean, did they reach out to you? Did you reach out to them? How did that even come to fruition?
Great question. We were definitely not looking for a show. It was never on our radar. And believe it or not, they reached out to us in 2015 originally, just out of the blue. I think they found our website. Back in 2015, it was less about social media and more about web presence. And so we had a website, where it showed off our houses that we were flipping in Atlanta. They found us and they asked if we wanted to just jump on an interview and talk about it. So Anita and I were like, what? Well, I did. What's funny, I'd been contacted before and I'd always said, no, nah, not interested. I like what I'm doing. And for whatever reason, they got me on the right day. We said, okay, whatever. We'll set up a Skype interview. That shows you how old this is. We did a Skype interview. And that Skype interview turned into a sizzle reel. They came to Atlanta and they filmed for a couple of days. Sizzle reel is like a 4-minute video that just kind of talks about who you are and what you do. And that turned into a pilot. The pilot aired in 2016. Apparently it did well enough to order a season. So we filmed in 16 and 17. I think it aired in late 17, maybe. And yeah, then the rest is history. It was a crazy ride for sure.
Yeah. Do you think without that first series, you would be, like, where you are today, or do you think it didn't matter? You would still be here even without the show?
No, for sure. I mean, the whole reason we did the show, and probably the reason most people do shows, I could care less about fame. It was all about exposure for the bit. Like, okay, Anita, if we do this, like what sort of business opportunities are going to open up for us if we do this show? And we both agreed, like, it's going to open up opportunities. And sure enough, I mean, we actually started a brokerage right about the time the first one aired and like grew it to 250 agents pretty quick and sold that to a publicly traded company. It was like, this works. Like, this exposure for Red Barn works. And yeah, it's opened up so many opportunities for us again, which was the goal from the get-go.
Yeah. So were you always from the Atlanta area?
Nope. So the family's originally from California. And but like so many people in the 80s and 90s around Atlanta, everybody's a transplant around Atlanta. You come to Atlanta, it's like everybody's from somewhere, I feel like. And so in the 80s, we moved here from the Bay Area. And I think the plan, my parents would tell you the plan was never to stay. The plan was always to come. My dad, worked for IBM, do a stint here and head back to the West Coast. But like so many people landed in Atlanta and just fell in love with it. I mean, Atlanta's a really cool town, really cool place. Living in the South is just, people are fun and polite. Atlanta was growing like crazy at the time. And so we put down roots here.
So where do you think the entrepreneur, in you came from? Was it somebody, in your family, or, like, growing up? Did you the like, where did that come from? What was instilled in you?
Yeah, it's funny is my parents are not entrepreneurial at all. They're very safe. They're very conservative. They need funny, neither of them really have an entrepreneurial bone. But Kevin and I always joke that our Italian heritage, so on my dad's side, his grandmother was first generation, came to the US in the early 1900s, came through Ellis Island, all that stuff. And we have 4 great uncles, Neo, Gino, Fio, and Bruno. Corsini, I mean, like the quintessential Italian uncles who came to the Bay Area, and all of them were entrepreneurs. All of them were opening up stores. They owned real estate. They owned multifamily. And what's funny is it's right smack in the middle of Sunnyvale, which is right in the middle of Silicon Valley. And still, some of that real estate's still in our family today. So we go back pretty regularly and see family. So I think it just skipped a generation is what happened. But Kevin and I, my brother, who's a co-owner in Red Barn Home Buyers, we always joke that, yeah, it came over on the boat from Italy. That's where the entrepreneurial trait came from.
Yeah, I love that. Well, Ken and Kevin, they don't sound like those Italian names. I Do you ever wonder what it would be like if you were a Bruno?
Well, my son's name is Rocco.
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So we got a Rocco Corsini. We wanted to keep the tradition going, and funny enough, Kevin and I are actually in the middle of working on dual citizenship. And I don't know if we've ever had this conversation or not before, Kevin. Yeah. We're looking at Italian citizenship, not because we're going to move there or anything. Part of it's a little bit of it's novelty. But it's also kind of cool. You can own, once you're in the EU. Like you can own real estate out there, you can own businesses, you can own land. I mean, there's lots of cool things that open up. My kids could go to school out there. Lots of cool things that open up. And because we can directly trace our lineage, we've been in the process of actually, it's funny, I'm literally sitting on my desk are some powers of attorney. We have an Italian attorney that we've been working with. And so we're in the process of getting dual citizenship in Italy. Isn't that crazy?
That is amazing, actually. So how often are you able to go over there?
Not, no, we haven't. We were in Europe this year, but like, and next year we're going to take a long trip to Italy. But I mean, Kevin's candidly spent a lot more time over there than I have. I haven't spent that much time. And kind of, I think, Nita and I are only a couple years out from being empty nesters. So I think long term, we're like, okay, when the kids are out of the house, we can spend longer periods of time over there, especially if we're citizens. So have you been over there before? Have you spent any time in Europe?
Not I've been in Europe, but not Italy. Not yet. It's on my list.
It's kind of a novelty, and it's the other thing, it's one of those things I can pass it down now too. So it's something my kids can have in perpetuity and their kids, and so if we go ahead and get it now while there's a window of opportunity, again, for us, it can be something kind of generational too.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. It is cool. So we didn't talk to about Anita at all. How did you guys meet?
So my sweetheart Anita and I met at UGA. We were both involved in the Wesley Foundation over there, which is a Methodist organization. It was a really, really big community of kids. And her and I just met through the grapevine. And we were the kids that got married right out of school, man. 23 years old, both just graduated and getting hitched. And which I kind of like that. We didn't, I mean, you don't have time to get set in your ways, or we didn't have any money. We were dirt poor. We had, some jobs. She was a teacher coming out of school. I had a little corporate gig, and and it was fun. Yeah, getting married right out of school.
I remember her telling a story of how you talked her into quitting being a teacher, and was it getting her real estate license? Was that the first step?
Yeah, so I had left my corporate job after about 5 years. She was a teacher. She was a math teacher. Not only was she a math teacher, she's an AP calculus teacher. Like, really smart, which is paying off right now because my oldest daughter is in calculus, and the only reason she's passing is because of Anita. So thank God we've got that. But I think 2007-ish, we were about to have our first kid. She was gonna leave teaching, and I was like, "Okay, this is all happening at the same time. Why don't you go get licensed?" I was in real estate full time. I didn't wanna be licensed at the time, and I was like, "It would be really good if you were licensed," and I wasn't, because I was an investor, and so she went and got her license. I mean, who would have known so many years later how handy it was gonna come in? And honestly, what's funny is now she always thought she'd go back to teaching. Um, and she loves teaching. Like, at heart, she is a teacher, but, didn't I mean, at the time, we're in our 20s, I had no idea what an amazing interior designer she was gonna be. I had no idea what an amazing agent she was gonna be. I don't think she realized any of that. And then, of course, through the show and owning all these businesses, she's really just come into her own, man. She's like a top 1% producing agent. She used to do design, higher design. She's like, that's not her passion. That's tough. Interior design is tough. I mean, hourly work is just tough. So she's kind of just settled into being a really good agent.
Nice. Good for her. And so you said that you're soon to be empty nesters. How many kiddos do you have?
Yeah, so 3. Our oldest is a senior in high school, and then we've got twins that are freshmen who got their learner's permits, and we're doing the whole driving around town with them, light knuckling it around town. But I mean, geez, we're gonna blink 3 years, they're all gonna be in college, and it's like, then what? Yeah, I don't feel old enough to be an empty nester, but I am, I guess. So we're trying to figure out, what are we gonna do when there's no more kids in the house? I mean, where are we gonna travel? This is gonna be fun. Let's go have a blast for a while.
For sure. Yeah. You've got a bit of a farmette, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we do. It's on 14 acres, and we've got animals. We got donkeys and cows and goats, cats, dogs. I've got a really funny dog story if you want to hear it.
Absolutely.
And it's really relevant because of the day I've had today. We always have animal stories around our house. Usually it's the farm animals, it's chickens, losing a chicken here. So we've got this. I'm going to tell you the story because I've been telling everybody today this story. We've got this. Did I tell you when we were together last week in Orlando? Did I tell you we got a puppy?
No.
we were on our way to the big show in Hollywood Studios, I forgot to mention. So we got a puppy like 3 or 4 weeks ago, like the best puppy ever. It's an Aussie Doodle, so it's Australian Poodle mix, like just the best puppy ever. He's 16 weeks and he's already basically potty trained and he's just cuddly and smart and loving it, all the kids. So yesterday, I'm having lunch at my kitchen table. Again, the benefits of being an entrepreneur, you get to eat at home, right? So I'm sitting at my kitchen table eating lunch, and the doorbell rings, and Anita gets a phone call at the same time. So I'm like, I'll go to the door, you take the phone call. And within a matter of minutes, this dumb puppy jumps on the kitchen chair, jumps on the table, and wolfs down 4 chicken wings.
My gosh. Oh no.
Just as friggin' swallows them whole. And I turn so I you know, it was actually my parents at the front door. So I talked to him for a few minutes, they leave. I walk back into the kitchen. He's standing on the kitchen table, which he's never done before. He's standing on the kitchen table, looking over the bowl. I'm like, "Oh, crap." And they're gone. Like, the chicken wings are gone. And so we call the vet. The vet's like, "Get over here." So we race him over to the vet. They do a X-ray. And Casey, when we're done, I'm gonna send you a picture of this X-ray because there are 4 chicken wings in this little puppy's belly, just whole chicken wings bouncing around in his belly. And it's like it's pretty serious. They're telling us like, "I don't know, it's 50-50 chance." I'm like, 50? What are you talking about? So they send us home and they're like, "Let's see if he starts to digest them. We're not sure what's gonna happen." So the next morning, this morning, 7 a.m., Anita and I get up and we race back to the vet. They X-ray him again. They're like, still there. They're not going anywhere. And so the vet was like, "You could wait and see, or I just go in there and get him." And like full blown surgery, $3,000 surgery to get some chicken wings out of their stomach. Oh, so like all day I've been at the office. Anita's like texting me. It's like, "So he went into surgery. He's out of surgery. The vet said, good thing we came in here. They're the biggest chicken wings he's ever seen." He's like, "Where do you buy your chicken wings?" Biggest chicken wings he's ever seen. Pull him out. And so let's just pray that this dog has a great recovery and my kids can live happily ever after, because there was a lot of tears in my house in the last 24 hours. So I know that has nothing to do with real estate or family nest, but it was a good story. I figured you'd get a kick out.
Yeah. I that is a good story. And if you send me the X-ray, we'll post it on here so everybody else can see.
Oh, 100%. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna 100% post it to you, and I'll give you a picture of the puppy too. Joey, he's really the cutest puppy you've ever seen. Just the sweetest little thing. So prayers going up for Joey that he pulls through. I think he had a good surgery. So next 72 hours are important.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. I've had, my last shepherd, we had an incident where she ate a bunch of fried chicken, whole bones, but same thing, she swallowed them whole, and I guess she digested them okay. So, yeah, we didn't have a surgery.
Well, and even the vet said he's done thousands of these surgeries and he's never extracted chicken bones because most of the time it's an adult dog and they're like, they should be able to process it. Joey's so little, he's just a little puppy. He's like, I don't know if he's going to be able to or not. I mean, he's just not big enough. I don't even know how he swallowed him. He's like a snake that just opened his esophagus and like allowed him in somehow. And of course, they found a purple rubber band in there too. So there's chicken wings and a purple rubber band came out. Thanks to my daughters on that one. Yeah. What a mess. But yeah, that we live on a farm getting vegetables, and I feel like there's always some animal drama at our house.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, donkeys are the best. I love that you have a donkey.
Oh yeah, Billie Jean, she's a sweetheart. Donkeys are fun. Well, the only reason we have a donkey is because the goats are just fair game to the coyotes in the area. And so this is an interesting story too. So during COVID, it was a real thing that the wild animals got wilder because people were not on the streets. Did you hear that? The people weren't driving, the roads were empty, and the wild animals were like wilder. And during COVID, man, the coyotes were just picking our goats off. Every night we'd lose a goat. And I'm not talking like just killed them. I'm talking about cleaned the bones off in one night, like nothing left. Because in hunting packs. And so we're like, "Oh, we got to do something." So we ended up getting a donkey. And sure enough, the second you put a donkey in the field with them, like it all stops. None of those buggers are coming in when the donkey's there. So she's sweet. She does her job. Yeah, she keeps the predators away.
That's awesome. I don't think I've ever known her name, Billie Jean. That's hilarious.
Well, wait, okay, so it's even funnier. So the first donkey got was actually Rico. Rico was a male donkey, and what we didn't know is you're not supposed to get male donkeys, you're supposed to get female donkeys. So Rico, because male donkeys are a little more aggressive, and so when one of the goats pissed him off one time, he killed the goat. We're like, "You're supposed to be protecting the goat, but instead you killed the goat." So we were like, "Okay, so apparently we need to get a female donkey." So we got a female donkey. So I'm telling you, there's always animal drama around our house. When you have that many animals on a farm, it's like it's just part of life.
Yeah.
You have any? Well, you have a dog. What other animals do you have, Casey?
Yeah. So I've got fish and turtles. So
A turtle. Yeah, yeah. Where's your turtle? Usually I can see your turtle behind you.
yeah, so they've been upgraded. So I had them in a 75-gallon aquarium, and I did not know at the time that when I got the turtles how quickly and how large they grow. So they are now in a 200-gallon pond in my downstairs sunroom. Yeah.
Wait, you have a legit pond in your house?
Yeah, it's called a waterland tub, so it's like a big rubber Tupperware container, but it holds 200 gallons of water, and then it has a ramp for them to have, like, a land area where the female can, like, bury her eggs or yeah, it's intense. I did not know, but the female is like I mean, she's a heifer. She's a biggin.
Really? They're water turtles or are they tortoises?
They're turtles, yeah. So, they're called peacock sliders because they have, like, the same emblem that peacocks have on their feathers, like, that's on their shell. Yeah, very colorful.
Well, now you're gonna have to post a picture of your terrarium and your pond to the podcast.
I will. Yeah, so we'll have a puppy X-ray at the turtle pond.
Turtle pond. I'll throw in a picture of the donkey if you want to. Why not?
Yes, Billie Jean.
Billie Jean, yeah.
Oh my gosh, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm sure everybody got a lot out of this. So, for the listeners, again, if you are dealing with an estate that needs cleaned out here in South Central PA or anywhere and you need to connect it with a professional, feel free to visit my website, pastatesolutions.com, or give me a call. And if you have that entrepreneur bug and you want to start your own business, let's reach out to Ken Corsini. Ken, again, how can they find you?
Yeah, so familynestfranchise.com or Red Barn Homebuyers either one.
Awesome. Okay. Well, that wraps up another episode of Bodacious Estate Conversations. Thanks for listening. We'll be back with more great tips and stories soon. See ya.
Bodacious Estate Conversations isn't just chatter, it's about learning, taking action, and finding solutions that actually work. If today's episode resonated, share your thoughts, subscribe, leave a review, and pass it along to someone who could use a hand. More stories, smart strategies, and practical guidance are coming in the next episode. Don't miss it.